Welcome to Not All Business, a podcast by two former CEOs who went from competitors to friends. I'm Blakely Graham, and my co-host is Heather Cooper. And we are joined by our producer, Clay Cornell, who accommodates our chaos every single week without filing an HR complaint. Yet.
Okay. Yeah.
I know. Today, we're talking about invisible disabilities at work, when to disclose them, how they impact your team, and what leaders get wrong about accommodations.
I had the best weekend. I want to tell you about it.
Okay.
I was like sad that I didn't get to go on this trip, which I was really excited about, but it got canceled. And then I just had a weekend where it was like a surprise, nothing planned weekend. Has that ever happened to you? It was wonderful.
It's very rare. Mm-hmm. I'm a little overplanned.
I know. No,
I don't love my life in that regard, but
yeah.
So you did nothing, is what you're saying.
I mean, I did a lot of stuff, but it was all on my terms.
Drank some wine.
Yeah.
Hung out with Nick.
Yes, I got some writing done, which I've been totally slacking on. So I got a lot of that done, which is good.
The book.
Is
the book coming? Is it coming out? What's happening?
Also, by the way, I'm writing an actual book. It's not like a journal on my desk. You know how many people were like, wait, Blakely's writing a book? Like, she's got a book? I'm like, no, it's just a journal on her desk. She calls her book.
Of all the things other people have done against her.
I know. What do you call that? What is it from Mean Girls? It's like the brag book or something.
Burn book, slam book.
Slam book.
Burn book.
Yeah.
I have a burn book.
Okay. You have a burn book. Yeah,
I keep one of you guys too, you know.
Yeah, but you should write a book.
Is it still on your desk?
Am I in it already? I'm in it, aren't I? Open it up. Show me. What do you have in there already written about me?
No, you're not in it. I do not have a burn book for this podcast.
I'm gonna steal it when we come over for the in-person interview or the in-person episode. I'm gonna
the husbands episode. Let's start teasing that out now. We are going to have a husbands episode.
We are
crazy.
Yeah. Are we gonna let them talk to each other beforehand and scheme, or are we just gonna make them?
No.
Keep private what they want to say.
No.
Okay. That'll be interesting.
No. I mean, maybe we come up with some questions like, how is it to live with?
Maybe the listeners come up with some questions for them. How about that? Talk about some sticky situations. Let's put that out there. Anybody wants, if you have a question for the husbands, let us know. And let's get it on there. That's actually, you like that idea, Clay?
I already have my question.
What is it? Are you going to save it?
Wow. Should I save it? No, I should say it. My question is, can you beatbox and juggle fire right now? That's my question.
No, we are not juggling fire in the studio. It's like 9 by 12 space.
We're definitely going to do it out in the yard, though, and we'll get some B-reel.
Okay, it's called B-roll, and we're definitely doing it.
Oh, it is?
On the show. It's not B-roll like we're doing it another time. It's like...
I called it B-Reel. Remember that app B-Reel?
I thought it was about B-Reel.
2 days. Because everyone was so sick of looking at what people were actually doing. Turns out people actually care more about the fantasy of people's lives than the reality.
Hey, I've heard people are still doing B-Reel. I've heard that
really?
It's still... Yeah, people are still doing it.
Okay.
Oh, I know what you guys are talking about, kind of. I've heard of that.
Your phone puts a notification
proves what
on.
you're doing or something.
Yeah, it'll be like, okay, snap a photo right now within 30 seconds where you are, what you're doing.
Oh, snap a photo. You guys, that's what I did this weekend.
What?
I learned how to use Snapchat. Which,
wow.
Can we have some applause? Anything? You guys are just that's a big effing deal for a 52-year-old, first of all.
It's not easy.
Second of all, it's not easy, but let's talk about that because I'm a software designer, right? I have designed software, and yet the usage patterns on Snapchat are unlike any other app I've ever worked on It was so I don't even have it mastered.
It disappears, first of all. Yeah.
That's I'm grateful for. Because those pictures,
But I bet you are. But also it's it disappears when my daughter sends me something, because that's really the only way we communicate right now while she's in Thailand. we'll send because of the time
That's
difference.
exactly why I've learned, because my son's going off to college, and I know.
Yeah, it's good. And it's good. It's good you're learning. You got to be in their environment. You got to be in their workflow. They might not call it a workflow,
You
but
got to be in their
communication
environment.
flow. Yep. Otherwise, if they have to go out of that app to go to another one, they're never going to text you back. You got to be in there.
He never texts me back. And so that's exactly why. Although I've tried to make it a rule that I don't snap anything negative to him. Like I'm trying to keep snap for fun, good communication, and text for bad. But he messed up my laundry today, so I did snap him a little bit of a correction, to which.
So that's
horrible. That's you. Okay. Just even
Wait,
the way
me
you said
or
it,
him?
No, you are horrible. I snapped him a correction. Nobody wants to be snapped a correction. You got to stop that right now. You started out so strong with making snaps positive, but I snapped him a correction? Fuck that. You're going to get in trouble.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that before. I've snapped a correction.
I've snapped him a correction.
Next week, you're going to be like,
honey.
why is no one snapping me?
Okay. This is not a parenting podcast, and I don't even want to get into parenting. I just think it's enough that I've learned.
Do you know what it
Snapchat.
means to be undelivered? Do you know what it means to be left undelivered? Because you're about to.
No, he responded to me right away with could have been a genuine apology, or it could have been, I'm a little bit making fun of you, Mom, for correcting my laundry apology. I think it's the latter.
Then I hope it was that. I hope it was the latter, and I'm on his side in this. No, Snapchat's for fun.
But do you know what it reminded me about, or reminded me of? Do you know, did you have to do this in, did you go to pregnancy classes? What are those called? Pregnancy classes?
Prenatal.
Yeah. Did you go to those? Did they make your husband put their hands in ice water?
I didn't have a husband. I'm just kidding. I did. I just want to see what your face would do. No, they didn't.
I don't.
They
so
didn't.
this, like, Clay, did you have to do that?
No. What?
This is, I only bring this up because I think it's
Hands in water.
adjacent to, we're talking about invisible disabilities today. And so first of all, I don't know if Jody, our guest who's coming on a little bit, I don't know if she saw our last episode last week where I was complaining about not ever getting paid maternity leave. And it's because they considered my pregnancy a disability. It's a pre-existing condition, which I find a really incorrect label.
Yeah.
But if you want to consider it a disability, like I think they were trying to make these husbands put their hands in an ice bath and hold them for as long as they could. And that was to emulate a pregnancy, like contraction, like a going into labor, which I don't think is any, I've done both. I've put my hands in, close.
You just numb yourself. You can't feel anything anymore. That's the opposite of what a contraction is.
I know. It's missing the mark completely.
No.
But I will say, when I thought of like learning Snapchat, I do not have a diagnosed disability. I feel like I might have one undiagnosed one, but it was like the closest thing I came to like thinking through, like my brain processes things so differently than I think my children. And it was like the hardest thing I have had to learn in 10, 15, I don't even know the last time. And I was like, okay, is this kind of what it's like to like have such a different way? Are we talking about
Snapchat again? You have taken me on such a journey. Okay.
Have I? Am I not threading it? That's my undiagnosed one I want to talk about on the show later.
Okay. Oh, you're being serious. No, I can't make fun of you. Okay. I still might a little bit.
I can't even like try to even thread this conversation together anymore.
We're going to get there.
We're cutting all of this.
Cutting it.
We're cutting it.
I don't think we're cutting any of it.
No, it's staying. The whole thing.
We're cutting all of it.
Snap the correction to me later.
I feel like I need Jody on the show to like help me get my words right and walk through this. So, because now I feel really hot and red and not comfortable. This is a sticky situation that I've walked myself into, and I don't know how to walk myself out of it 2 weeks in a row.
Okay, we'll get there.
I'm saving the rest. I'm saving it. I'm going to have a debrief with Jody and I'll feel better.
Let's bring her on. Let's get to her.
So our guest today is Jody Donovan, who serves as an Associate Vice President for Student Affairs at Colorado State University. She spent nearly 40 years in higher education, focusing on holistic student support, both in and out of the classroom. She received the prestigious Pillar of the Profession Award in 2016 and continues to teach and advise a graduate program at CSU. But here's what makes Jody's story extraordinary. She built this entire career after suffering a traumatic brain injury right after earning her PhD, an injury she initially tried to hide out of shame. Jody, welcome to Not All Business. Hi, everyone. Blakely here. This episode of Not All Business is brought to you by yours truly, where strategist Cindy Fergard helps growth-minded leaders navigate pivotal moments with confidence. I worked with Cindy when I was CEO of TaskRay, and she's what I call a CEO whisperer. She helped us execute a complete brand pivot, boosted me up as a leader, and set us up to hit aggressive growth targets that led to our successful exit. Whether you've hit a growth plateau or you're evolving your company, maybe you're at a career crossroads, yours truly provides the strategic guidance you need, because what got you here won't always get you where you want to go. So sometimes you need a Cindy to help push you forward. Visit itsyourstruly.com and mention Not All Business for a complimentary strategy consultation. Okay, back to the show. Hi, Jody.
It's great to be here.
Jody.
Hello.
So excited that you're here. Finally.
Jody, I hope you heard all of my blunders on that intro and can help correct everything I said earlier.
You were working hard.
I was working hard. Thank you. My brain.
This is Jody's genius. You know, she counsels, she's like for college students, right? But it's never too late. It's never too late to learn and pick up a new skill. Before we get into the show, you guys have to know that you're in the presence of greatness, not just because of the whole intro and how amazing she is and all of the things, but Jody is the one who first identified the naked Heather on the show. Remember when I said a good friend of mine? Oh, I said a good friend of mine called me up and said, "Hey, quick feedback. You look naked on the show."
The naked lawyer?
Yeah.
This is her. This is Jody.
You know, only a good friend can pass along that feedback.
It's true.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
It's now an official trademarked character, right, Heather?
Look at what it's blossomed into.
The naked lawyer. Do you have your naked lawyer glasses?
I mean, I have my glasses. Yes, I do. I have my glasses on. Guys, we're not turning this into a thing. It's against everything I stand for.
I'm just really glad you have clothes on today. Well done.
That's
Us
fair.
too.
I appreciated
Us too,
that.
Jody.
Well, it is early. I mean, it does get hot in here. This light that I'm under it puts off quite a bit of heat. So we'll see how long the clothes stay on. But yeah. Well, we've talked about this before. Like last week, we got into a bunch of like kind of rapid fire sticky situations, and that was a lot of fun. And we are going to kind of hit some of those at the end. We've got Jody on as an expert who I think is going to talk to some of that. But really, where Jody's expertise is coming from and what we're going to dive into today is, what do you do when you have an invisible disability, and how is that impacting your work? And, you know, when are you telling people, when are you not, and what does that look like? And so I was totally amazed. I met Jody. She was my backyard neighbor when I first moved here from Detroit, and came outside, and she was over the fence, and I called her Judy, I think, for at least the first. Yeah, we were like over the fence, like that show. What's
like
that
Wilson
show? Home Improvement.
Home Improvement.
Like Wilson.
Yeah, Home Improvement.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I think I called you Judy for the first couple days, and then you gave us a trampoline, which was awesome because my kid was like flipping out of the womb, and we needed a trampoline, and so she already had one.
Threw it
She's
over.
like, I'm gonna. Yeah, she's like, wait,
Threw
I'm
it
like,
over
I'm
the
not your
fence.
trampoline person because we're gonna buy one, and you were like, do not buy one. We're going to give you this one, or I think I bought it from your son. Anyway, so we bonded pretty quick after that.
We did.
But there's so many years, and I was always so impressed by everything you accomplished. And it wasn't until, I don't know, several years into our friendship that you told me about your disability and your injury, what had happened and all you'd have to overcome. So would you share with us a little bit about what happened that day, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. This is an interesting experience because I'm thinking back about when this all happened and how I wanted to hide it. And now I consider this invisible disability a superpower. And so it's really reframing what it means to have a disability. It's not a less than, but it actually is an additive part of who I am. So October 13th, 2026, I defended my dissertation to get a PhD at the height of my intellectual capacity. My family goes with me up to a regional conference up in Breckenridge. It was the last night before the closing banquet in the morning. And we decided to cut loose and go sledding on some of the ski hills, and no alcohol involved. Just always need to give that caveat. So
But like sledding on the snow hills, like the ski hills, like sledding the big hills, or that's crazy.
It was sledding on a closed ski slope, but
holy shit.
Just to be clear, no judgment if there was alcohol involved. You know what I mean? Like, I've been sledding with alcohol involved.
True.
Not a good choice. And thank goodness I didn't get injured, but no judgment there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like extreme sledding too.
Yeah. We didn't realize it at the time. So I was first one down. I was in a toboggan, and, I was sitting up, my feet were straight out in front of me, and sailed down, just was giggling and laughing. And I hit a piece of ice, and the whole toboggan came to a complete stop, and I fell, over top. And I came to a complete stop right on the side of my head. So if you can imagine how fast I was going and all of that speed, all just coming to a stop, everything that was, at my waist down shot right into the back of my head. And I remember people running down and saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And my glasses had broken in half.
Oh, whoa.
And that's what I was focused on. I was like, I've got these two pieces of my glasses. And I'm thinking, yeah, everything's fine except for my glasses. And inside I knew that I couldn't turn my neck, and everything was kind of hazy and fuzzy, but I didn't want to disrupt everybody else's fun because everybody had just gotten out onto the ski.
Yeah. So you're like, I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Don't mind me.
Yeah.
Didn't go to the hospital that night. The next morning, got up, went to the banquet, and the lights and everything else were just swimming around, and the noise, and it was a cacophony, and I couldn't understand what people were saying. But I didn't want to disrupt the conference. Didn't want to bother anybody. So I left, laid down, marked that one again. After a concussion, you do not want to do any of the things that I did.
Yeah.
Which I thought it was just a concussion. Just.
Right.
We decided that, the conference was over. My partner drove us down the mountain, came back, banger headache. And I said, I'll just go to sleep. Things will be better the next morning.
You're not supposed to sleep. Yeah. Oh, shit.
As what I perceived myself to be of, I can work hard. I can put my mind to it. I can achieve. I'm not less than. I don't want to, call attention to anything that might make me less than. So the next morning I was walking to church, which is a couple blocks from our house. My partner had gone ahead, and I never arrived at the church. He found me later on the sidewalk crying because I couldn't find my way.
Oh, gosh.
And at that point, he drove me to the emergency room.
Yeah.
Because he was like, yeah, there's clearly something wrong.
Yeah. God, he must have been so scared. And how old were you at this time, Jody? Can I ask?
40, early 40s.
Yeah, just prime in your career, just finished your PhD.
Yeah.
Killing it career-wise, and then all of a sudden, within 48 hours on the side of a road crying because you don't know where you are.
Yep.
Gosh.
Had a 9-year-old, 13, and a 13-year-old at the time.
I didn't realize that.
And so then did they diagnose
doing
you
it all?
Yeah. Did they diagnose you pretty quickly?
Oh, and just to put an icing on the doing it all, I was also working full time.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So
PhD.
It was kind of obnoxious.
Yeah.
Well, you can sense it by the way you didn't want anyone to be burdened, right? With, it just, you're doing it all when those are your first thoughts, right? So,
yeah.
And so, Jody, like real quick, before you get to the hospital part, just like, because that's interesting, Blakely. Like, yeah, so that carrying all of that, growing up, was that something that was instilled in you growing up, like that type of like work ethic, or like it's not about me, like it's like you mentioned achieving, like
Totally.
Is that how you were raised, or okay?
Yes. I was one of 5 kids, and the way we got attention was through achievement. It was what we did. Getting an A on the spelling bee, participating in gymnastics and winning a medal. It wasn't enough to just do gymnastics, but we had to win. The idea is you just didn't work hard enough if you didn't achieve something. So go
Did
back.
Did they send you like
again.
snap corrections, like when you fucked up? Did they send you like quick messages? Just when you thought,
yeah, I think it was more in the Jody, I'm really disappointed in you. Was sort of the snap. The snap correction came as disappointed looks.
I did tell him I was frustrated. Those are real feelings. I was frustrated. Okay, Jody, get us to the hospital. What
back
happened?
To the hospital. Okay.
Yeah. So yes, they did all sorts of X-rays, and my vertebrae had lodged, kind of crammed into my brain.
Gross.
My whole rib cage, everything had just shoved up. Luckily, nothing was broken, but at that point, they diagnosed me with a traumatic brain injury, a TBI.
Oh my gosh!
And made a referral to a local clinic here in town that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. But this clinic was like a little Mayo clinic for people with brain injuries and neurological challenges like MS and things like that. And they had, I did 5 hours of therapy a week. They had.
Was it all at once, Jody? Or was it like an hour a day or something like, was it concentrated therapy or split up?
It depended. It was, I don't think I could ever have done 5 hours a day.
Because that's what I was thinking. Like I was thinking,
at the beginning,
how are you managing?
1 hour a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was neurotherapy, occupational therapy. Like I had to learn how to get dressed again. I couldn't figure out how I would look at my example is I would look at my feet and I would see my shoes and my socks, but I couldn't figure out how I got my socks on inside my shoes.
Wow.
And that didn't make any sense to me.
Wow.
I can see that.
They had to teach me, as I got better, how to grocery shop, how to cook, because none of that made any sense to me. I had to do speech therapy because I couldn't find words. So the examples were, if I wanted a cup of hot coffee, and I kept telling them I don't drink coffee, but they didn't care because the exercise was, if you want a cup of coffee, how would you describe it if you can't use the word coffee? You can't find the word coffee. And so if you were trying to say you wanted coffee, what might you do? What might you say?
I want that brown, hot, bitter
liquid
drink that gives me the jitters and heartburn.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly.
It's like throwing yourself into like premenopause early, like, because I definitely still can't come up with words right now, but that's not a brain injury
Yes.
thing. That's just like an age thing.
No,
Yeah.
but that was what was so interesting is when I would talk about I had extreme fatigue, so I had to build up just endurance again, because before I would have a second wind. If I was working full time and doing my PhD, I needed to work all day, come home, have some family time with the kids, and then go right downstairs to study. I needed to have that second wind. Well, I didn't have any of that. And so I would complain about fatigue, and they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, you're just getting old." And I was like, "No, you don't understand. This is different."
Yeah.
Or, you're early menopause. This is what it's going to feel like. And I was like, "No, this is different." So it was a really painful experience because I knew what I used to know. I knew that I used to know things. I knew that I had just earned my PhD. But here I am talking about what are all the animals that start with the letter C.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And so are you
Cat.
at work at this time? Is there another one? Cobra?
Cow.
Cow, cobra, cougar, all sorts of, yes.
I don't know.
But I probably came up with cow and cat at the time. And, and then I would, even at that point, if the speech therapist would say, "Good job, Jody, that really made a huge," I was still in this achievement kind of thing.
Oh, gosh, I didn't even think about that, like deep-seated belief system coming out in your rehabilitation.
Right. Like, who am I?
So that was your new metric of success?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's so interesting that was like overachieving, and yet you were still overachieving and probably frustrated because you're like, I only got 4 sea animals today and I should have gotten 6, or like, so you're kind of changing the metric, but your personality and your drive is still the same.
Totally.
Well,
totally.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did this impact work? Like, so you're obviously taking a leave of absence. You're not able to function in your job, right? How did that go for you? How did you request it? Were they flexible with you?
Yeah. Yeah. Good question. Because I know, this is not all business. And yet we talk about business, right?
Yeah.
So I was really fortunate because I had already worked at Colorado State for 9 years. So I had 9 years of demonstrating what kind of an employee I was. And for bankrolling a lot of sick leave and a lot of annual leave, because, as an overachiever, you don't take those things.
Interesting.
So I had earned, and I'm going to use that word earned, a lot of leave that I was able to take. I didn't work at all for the first 3 months. There would have been no way for me to go to work. I obviously couldn't drive, but all of my energy was going to getting better because I was told early on that first year after a head injury is so critical because what you get back in that first year is pretty much what you get back.
So there's like a timeline on it. There's a time limit where it's like, if you only get what you get in this year. If you didn't study that thing or you didn't bring that back, it's gone. That's a ton of pressure.
It was a lot of pressure. It's kind of like the majority of the healing is going to happen in that first year. So you want to get as much as you can. And then anything else is going to be a lot slower and smaller increments.
But is this functional rehabilitation, or are you relearning your PhD studies? Like, was that retained and it's just more of the occupational pieces? Or, I mean, those are 2 very different things to stuff in a year.
To actually think about the academic relearning, that was not even a priority at the time. It was really, can Jody get dressed? Can Jody function? Can I take care of myself? Can I take care of my kids? So it was that kind of base learning that I was trying to do.
Thank you.
So then, so because we still have so much to get to, like, okay, so you obviously, presumably, and I mean, you're always like topping the finishers of the races that I see you in town. So I know that you definitely recovered your running gait and you're kind of killing that. at some point you get your regular physicality back. You're going back to work. So what does that look like when, if I just looked at you and I knew you for several years before I knew this ever happened to you, but I know you still have symptoms. So what was that like to go back to work and everybody thinking like, hey, welcome back? Were they treating you like you're just back to normal Jody?
That's a great question. And I grin because I thought I could come back after those 3 months. And so I started coming back like a couple hours at a time. And I thought I was pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. I thought I was making it. And people were looking at me like, what is she doing here? She's walking around with dead eyes. There's nothing going on inside of her. We're just going to let her go into her office and let her do whatever she wants.
Oh, that's
and hope
sad.
she doesn't stay very long. And my colleagues were so kind. My boss was so kind.
Yeah.
Because they knew that who was I if I wasn't my work? That was my whole identity. And so they knew part of my healing also required me to believe that I could do this again.
Yeah.
Which was very, very gracious. So so I worked part-time for about another 3-ish months. In full, I went back full-time at 9 months. And I had a lot of, at that point then, the occupational therapy, the speech therapy, things were starting to wane, and we were really working on real specifics. My favorite example is go into a grocery store sometime and look at either the laundry detergent aisle or the juice aisle.
Okay.
There are so many choices.
Yeah.
How do you know what one to get? Like, how do you differentiate between any of them? And so it became those kinds of nuanced kinds of therapy. Like the step-by-step cooking, I still have a problem with that. I can make one thing.
Yeah.
But don't ask me to make the main and the side and another
Right.
side.
You're not cooking Thanksgiving dinner for everybody and yourself by yourself.
Nope.
I can't do that on a good day, let alone after a brain injury.
Right.
I was just about to say.
There you go.
Yeah. It's I can't cook anyway. So okay. So at some point you're back. I mean, let's even say 2 years in, Jody.
Yeah.
You've talked about shame, not wanting to admit it. So maybe there's new people that have come into your life. Maybe there's new bosses or another person on the board and they're not familiar with the history. Is this something that you're leading with? Like at what point did it turn from like shame and you, this invisible thing, because they're not seeing it up front, into you kind of owning it? Tell us about that.
Yeah. That was a long time. I learned strategies. So part of my therapy was strategies. And this was a big piece of that, working with an employee who has an invisible disability or a visible disability. The employee themselves has responsibility for the strategies to help them do the work. The workplace has to set them up to be successful in that. So it's a two-way street, right? So I installed a whiteboard on my wall right in front of my desk, and I would write what I was working on, so that if I had a phone call that interrupted me, I could look back at the whiteboard and know what I was working on.
Okay.
I had Post-it notes that I would carry in my pocket that would list the 3 things I had to get done that day. So my invisible disability is called Central Auditory Processing Disorder. It's a mouthful. What it means is when there's too much stimulation going on, my brain just kind of shuts down. So the sensory stuff becomes overwhelming. And so I had a strategy. I don't walk into loud auditoriums. I give presentations all the time. I just stay outside and greet people at the door. I'm not down at the podium until everyone is seated. So I was developing all these strategies. So no one knew at that point that didn't know that I had a disability.
And that was on purpose. That was your,
it was on purpose.
You were hiding it and you're having to do that extra stuff so that they don't know. And you're kind of
Exactly.
beating the system that way. So you weren't asking for
Exactly.
help. You weren't asking for accommodations. You were just trying to hide it and keep up with everybody else, even though you had this struggle.
Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I somewhat was asking for accommodations. Colorado State, you can't put up your own whiteboard. Facilities management has to put it up. So I had to ask them to order a whiteboard and put it up.
Right.
I wish I had someone to come and hang up my whiteboard.
Exactly. It's very nice. I had to let people know that I had to close my door. That was another thing. I needed to have the door on the office. I mean, I had an office, luckily. But I needed to let people know that there were things I needed different than how I was before.
Blakely, were you?
Do you think, I am going to lead this back to the intro. Do you find that you can't stop the feeling of shame necessarily, right? And so trying to hide it and trying to be who you were before, do you think you would do it that way again if you had the power to, or would you have been a little bit more upfront, or would you, I guess, what's the strategy to make the invisible visible? And I bring it back to the intro because on the intro, I was trying to thread together a few concepts that in my head made a lot of sense. But I also have a processing thing that it's like hard to get words out and it's hard to get thoughts connected, and it's plagued me for my life. And it wasn't until my daughter was diagnosed with it, which I won't go much more into that on the show, but just it was like this aha moment. I'm like, oh yeah, that is what's going on with the way my brain thinks. And it shows up a lot in the boardroom because I can't, how do I want to say it? Like I can't react in the same time that a lot of people can react to and eloquently. I have to go and take it out and really think about it and write about it and write it down and do a couple of things and then come back prepared and I can knock it out of the park. But I've often thought as part of my personal brand, should I be continuing to live in that shame and hide it and fake it till I make it? Or should I go in and disclaim it? And I don't mean disclaim it other than just announcing it and saying, hey guys, this is how my brain works. Then I'm like, ooh, all of us process things differently. Like how many invisible disabilities are out there with dyslexia and processing disorders and sensory disorders? I mean, yours happens to be like this super traumatic event, but we all think a little bit differently. So this all goes to the question of, obviously no one should sit in shame, but would you do it differently? And did you eventually do it differently? And do you tell people to make it visible or no?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do they have the right to even know? I don't know.
That is such a great question, Blakely. I think it's a developmental process. I mean, that's sort of my research background is in student development and how students change over time. And I feel like I needed to go through a process to understand who I am with this disability and figure out how do I own it and not be embarrassed about it and not be ashamed about it. Because truthfully, all of us who don't currently have a disability are temporarily able-bodied. When we get older,
that's so true.
We will have a disability.
Yeah.
Right?
We are temporarily able-bodied. It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yep. And I think coming to terms with what that means and realizing, the most powerful thing for me was in my therapy to understand, and I can recall the hours and hours of therapy around, Jody, people will love you for who you are, not necessarily for what you do. That was really hard for me to understand. And so once
especially with your background
understanding
too. Yeah. Like you weren't raised that way. You're like,
no,
hard disagree.
Was,
yeah, absolutely not. It is all about what I do. Because also,
exactly.
All right. So let's fast forward into being an employer who, like, it sounds really warm and fuzzy for me to have an employee in front of me and for me to say, I'm valuing you for who you are, not what you do. if I say that and and end it with a period, it's just like, well, that how far can that really take me when that starts to go south, when what they do starts to not be measuring up, right? And so it's this balance of that sounds really good, but at the end of the day, this job still has to be done. So I'm so curious, like, did you build back up to a place where you're like 100% efficient? Or did they have to provide let's even start with when you were out. How did they handle covering your workload? Like, did they have to hire someone else? Did the rest of your friends and coworkers have to pitch in for that 9 months while you were gone? Did they know about it? Did they know if there was an end in sight? How did they handle that?
Okay, Heather, that was a ton of questions.
I know, right?
Let me see if I can answer.
I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Listen to me ask the brain injury patient. Let's see how healed are you? Okay, how far along? I'm such an asshole, but she's one of my best friends, so we could say that to each other.
So
right?
I could be an asshole.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I could summarize for Heather, I think what she was trying to say in her 5 million questions is,
thank you.
What did the management team get right, and what did they get wrong?
Good summary.
In supporting you.
Yeah. I was really fortunate. I had a graduate student who was eager to learn everything. And he was so excited to have more responsibilities. So he took on quite a bit, and it was a learning experience for him. My colleagues kind of all divided up the work that needed to get done. My partner gave ongoing updates about what the doctors were saying about when I probably would be able to come back to work. And so I think what they did well was they allowed me time to heal. And they did it because I had earned that sick leave and annual leave. And so I think, I keep harping on that because I don't want to feel guilty for doing that. That was, I had earned that leave to be able to heal.
But you shouldn't feel guilty even if you hadn't earned that leave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you feel how you feel, but
yeah, I mean, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? I mean, that's the way.
Right.
So, okay, so previously your measuring stick was, am I achieving enough? Am I, of enough value? What is it now? What's your measuring stick now?
Am I good enough?
Mm.
Am I a good human?
Mm-hmm.
Am I a good contributor? And that's critical. I think, when I think back on some of your, what you were talking about, pregnancy and childbirth, I often say that as a colleague, it's up to me to support a pregnant colleague or a parenting colleague, because we need people to have children to become good citizens of the world, right? Contributing citizens of the world. And so that's my responsibility to support my colleague who, in the first year after having a baby, they're not sleeping, they're not producing at their best either. And so I think it's creating that team at work where people are willing to pitch in and help each other instead of being so individualistic. I have my job and I just need to do my responsibilities. And if you aren't pulling your weight, that's your problem. It's more talking with each other about what's going on for you and creating a safe space where you can say, this is what's going on for me. And this is what I'm doing to get better. This is the strategies I'm using to be able to do my work, etc.
All right, Jody. So, we get questions in from listeners, and this was very topical, you coming on, because one of our sticky situations, and I'll just paraphrase, is what do I do if I have a disability that I don't want to tell my boss about because I'm afraid that I'm going to get fired. It was something along those lines. And so you're a perfect boss, and the way you're thinking about it makes sense. But what's your advice to somebody who is not in that situation and is afraid to disclose? What would you say to them?
I would say that's real. And people don't have a right to know what your disability is. So if you feel like it is not safe to disclose, I would not encourage you to disclose. And having said that, if you need an accommodation, you're going to have to figure out how to get that accommodation, whether it's going to HR, your employee assistance program, and working with them to get the accommodation, and then having HR work with your supervisor on this. In order for this employee, for me to do my work, I need X, Y, or Z, and get the protection that way. Because if you disclose outside of that formal process, you may not have the employment protection.
That's a really good point.
Wait,
Jody's got her lawyer glasses on.
I was going to say, I have to repeat that. If you disclose outside of the formal process, you might not have protection. Is that what I heard?
Yeah. If you could be fired because you're not fulfilling all the expectations. But if you had these accommodations, you'd be able to fulfill all the expectations.
I see what you're saying.
Right. So let's take dyslexia. You mentioned dyslexia. So let's take dyslexia as an example. If your job is taking you twice as long to get done and you haven't disclosed that you have dyslexia or need an auditory accommodation or whatever that might be, they're just going to think you're slow or unwilling or just not getting your work done, not spending your time wisely. That puts you in a bad situation. And if you haven't disclosed that, then you're not covered. They need to know. It's an interactive process. You don't know what?
I don't know that. I'm sort of the camp. I don't know that everyone needs to know.
Well, it's just if you want the protection, if you want the legal protection, then you're going to need to disclose to somebody.
Correct. Yeah. No, that's good to know.
Yeah.
But I don't know that everyone needs to know, if that makes sense. For me personally, or...
Yeah, but why? Because I agree with you, Blakely, but I want to hear more of where your head's at on that. What do you think is going to happen if they know?
I think there's two, oh gosh, I don't know. There's a lot in that. And so off the cuff, it is, I don't like being viewed in a victim mentality. And so that sometimes feels like I'm just going to use my powers for my strategies for when I need them. And I'm more come from an achievement background like Jody. So I take a lot of pride in overcoming and being gritty and working hard and getting through it. And so it's all wrapped up in personal feelings, maybe.
So
yeah,
this gets back to some of what we were talking about earlier of going from shame to actually owning it, and not feeling less than for having this disability, because it's actually given me so many gifts, because now I have a much richer life, because I'm not just all about achievement. I'm much more about relationships and feeling well, not just doing stuff. And so owning that as you age, you gain wisdom. It isn't just about you can't remember things as well. And so reframing what this disability means then puts you more in power to talk with your supervisor, if you have that kind of a relationship, to say, I can still do the work. These are some strategies that I need to be able to do the work, and I can still be a contributing member of this office. I don't think that I would ever say that I'm not doing my work. I'm still doing my work, but I'm doing it differently. And I think that's the key to remember. We are all temporarily able-bodied, or those of us that are. Someday, wouldn't we want that to be done for us?
Yes. Yeah. And I think what's missing is maybe the emotional intelligence piece at an earlier period of life. I mean, your disability hit you at 40. Some people are born into their invisible disabilities, and there really is not a great emotional intelligence framework to feel like accepted immediately or not into that victim. And think about all the labels we have available to our generations now. And so like almost like the more labels, which are invisible disabilities, right? Like depression and anxiety and ADHD.
ADHD.
And back to your point, Heather, I don't think the corporate entity has that framework specifically. And so
there's not a lot of patience. Yeah, there's not a lot of patience for it. There's not a lot of understanding when you get hit with and I'm using the word get hit because you hear that all the time with somebody asking for an accommodation. When you get hit with an accommodation request, that is the kind of the mentality.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, how much is it going to cost? How long do we have to do it? How do we still measure success? How do we, it's kind of like an eye roll.
Exactly.
And like, okay, let's like put this off on HR. You're kind of skipping over the human element and there's not a lot of patience for it. It's like, they're just dealing with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
which is why I think it's easier to hide them, right? And I think that's how we got here. So
because we're being judged by it. Judged for it.
Well, Blakely, I feel a little bad that I made fun of your failure to thread the story. No. See? But now I know.
You should not. I didn't disclaim my disability.
You did. And also you can't disclaim it. You have to disclose it. You have it. You can't disclaim it. You have to claim it.
I know. It's now I'm like, and she chose to be a podcast host.
Yay.
I knew it would come out eventually. And here it is, live on this show. Like, what are the odds?
And you're killing it.
Well, but listeners,
now you can own it.
And listeners and viewers don't know this, but Blakely spends so much time working on things like doing the intro, and she works on the transitions, and she spends a lot of time. And over time, we've talked about this off the show, but she has week by week seriously made improvements in the direction that she wants to go, not based on what standards we have, what standards she wants to hold herself to. And so go back to episode 1. Maybe Blakely will be like, don't do that, but go back to episode 1 and watch through, and you will see that she has worked very, very hard. And we appreciate that so much that you've done that.
Well, y'all, I still use a teleprompter, and there's my accommodation.
That is a normal thing.
So.
A teleprompter is a tool. It's a great tool.
I mean, it's
totally. Totally.
Yeah. Have you seen the Oscars bit where they don't use it and it totally goes off the rails? Like even Hollywood uses it.
You know, the other thing that you can research or you can link is the spoon theory. And it really goes to what Blakely's talking about is that.
What's that?
Folks with disabilities, they wake up. Well, actually, everybody wakes up with a certain number of spoons in your pocket. And a person with a disability may use more spoons to get out of bed, to get dressed, to make them, make their breakfast and their lunch, get to work. They're already four to 5 spoons down than a person without a disability. They're going into work with all their spoons. And so they're totally fine. When I think about Blakely, when you were starting off, I'm not saying that you had a disability, but when you were starting off with this podcast and how much work and energy it took to do all those things that you're now doing with a lot more ease, you were using so many spoons, your energy was depleted, I would imagine, much faster than now. And so it's understanding that for employees as well.
That is such, I think, the most important thing for listeners to remember on this show. The energy it takes is so much more than someone without that particular disability, right? It's just the investment. And it makes me so proud to actually watch my kids, like how much energy they're putting forth. And then I shame them on the laundry, and I'm sorry. Eldon, I love you, and I'm sorry for this morning's snap.
Aw, you're forgiven.
I'm going to cry.
You're forgiven. You're forgiven.
You're going to have to correct your snap correction.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I feel so bad.
I think it's cute that you think that he watches this podcast.
He does not watch this podcast. Let's be honest.
He's not our target demographic. That's okay. Teenage boys.
He's going to benefit from the spoon story.
Yes.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
It is a good
Although,
one.
why are we keeping spoons in our pockets? I feel like that story could have had more relevance. Like, what's the spoons?
I always need to save a spoon for like late night cereal because that's kind of my thing. Like, I love like the late night cereal before bed.
Crunch?
Yeah. What kind of cereal?
Oh, don't make me say it. It's embarrassing. It's
Lucky Charms.
Yes, it's Lucky Charms.
I love Lucky Charms.
I ate a box a
They're
day
magically delicious.
while I was pregnant. I think that's really awesome things.
Okay, good. Yeah, Lucky Charms. They're magically delicious. Okay.
Woo-hoo.
I know we are so way over. We do this happens every time. See, Jody,
I know,
you and
I'm
I
sorry.
go on hikes and we talk about how can we make this podcast shorter? And now you're here and you realize it's hard. It's hard to make it shorter, right?
It's hard.
It's really,
I feel
really
bad
hard.
for Clay.
I know. We all do.
I feel bad for Clay too.
Yeah.
We all do.
Everybody feels bad
All
for
right.
me.
I'm still crying.
Okay. While Blakely wipes up her tears and starts crafting her apology Snapchat message to Eldon, let's get to smiles. We're over on time. Jody, thank you so much. Before we get there, I think it's pretty incredible that someone at your stature and you're in the public eye and that you would just come out and be so open. It really speaks to the fact that you do own your invisible disability and you are the opposite of ashamed of it now. And you're telling your story so that other people can learn, they can have courage to get the help they need. No one should be suffering. If you, listener, are suffering from an invisible disability, talk to someone, find someone at your company that you trust. They legally need to treat you well when you tell them. So just do the best you can to find someone that you trust and think hard about what would make your day easier because you deserve it and you're killing it just by showing up every day as you are. So if they can help make that easier, it's going to be better for everybody. So don't be ashamed. Own it. All right. So Jody, at the end of our show, we always go around and ask everybody, our guests, and then we also answer it too. What brought a smile to your face this week?
Doing this podcast. Doing this podcast made me smile.
Yay.
Yeah. That probably. And I said, I come from a family of 5 kids. And last night we were all on a Zoom call talking about our parents' scholarship. And we were laughing and chuckling. And it warmed my heart that even though our parents are no longer with us, the 5 of us are still close.
Beautiful. What's the name of the scholarship?
It's my parents' names, David and Sally Wysong Memorial Scholarship.
What a lovely thing. What a good thing to leave behind. I love that.
That's
Clay,
cool.
Blakely, smiles?
Well, I'm married to Chevy Chase from Christmas Vacation. And so every year he puts more lights than anyone else on the street. But 5 years ago, I think, more or less, our neighbor across the street, who's probably pushing 90 or 100, comes over and he hands us this envelope and inside of it was $100 bill, which has got to be so much money for him. That probably was like $1,000 to him. And he said, this is for one more strand of lights this year. And could you do the big tree? Well, the big tree is an evergreen that is literally 3 times taller than our house. And so there's no way to do the big tree.
And I love that he thought it was just money that was stopping you. Oh.
Yeah, he did. And it's a lot of money to do the big tree. But Scott, for 5 years, every year he puts on another strand. But this year we just went all in and we got some help. And so right now there is someone outside with a cherry picker putting on lights on the big tree while Scott does all the other trees. And my neighbor is out. When I came in for the podcast, he was with his walker sitting on his front porch watching them string the lights for the big tree.
Stop it.
So I am so excited for like the Chevy Chase moment. I just hope the lights come on.
Yeah.
And nobody gets
if they
electrocuted.
don't. Yeah, you can go in the garage and flip that switch. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best scene in any movie. Yeah, so good.
It is the best.
Clay, got one?
Yeah. So this past week, my friends are building a recording studio in Detroit. They actually had one that was on kind of like the west side of downtown in Corktown. Now they're building it on the east side, closer to my house. And I had to meet someone there to go drop off a piece of equipment. So I said to my son, Emrys, why don't you come with me? So he came with me. It was late, like, is this going to be cool? I'm like, dude, it's going to be cool. It's a recording studio. Come on, let's go. So we go in there and, we basically open up and it's, brand new, and like the control soundboard is there, and there's like these cool lights that are in there, and there's like a little kitchen and cool design stuff, and they're putting a lot of thought into it. And Emrys just kind of lit up and was like, and we met a few people that were there, other musicians, and I told him afterwards, I was like, hey, those are rock stars, because they play huge shows, thousands of people, and they're literal rock stars. And he was kind of like this. Yeah. He like met a person who's actually doing it. And he was like looking at all the sound stuff, and we walked out and we're driving down Gratiot. No one knows what that means, but Heather knows what that means.
I do.
And he was like, Dad, I want to work there. I want to work there. And he was like, this is cool. Like, because that's how I got into music. I started interning at music studios as a musician. I started playing, and he kind of was like, he caught the vision for how cool it would be to be there. And I was like, it was just fun. It made me smile. I was like, this is awesome, dude. We're just like playing loud music, having fun. Just like, it was just great.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Two dudes.
That was my smile.
Two dudes.
Yeah. Two dudes.
Yeah, it's fun when they catch a vision.
We just want to rock.
Awesome.
Dude, we just want to rock. That's all we want to do.
Just want to rock.
Who doesn't?
Totally.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? All right. Mine quick was Jake, my son, called. He sounded kind of down in the dumps. He lives up in the mountains, and I'm always telling him, like, you live in the mountains and you snowboard every day, like Cry Me a River. Like, how bad can life really be for you? And he's like, I don't know. I just feel down. I was like, FaceTime me, because I want to see his face. So he did. And then I was like, okay, turn the camera. And I looked at his room, and it was just like a bomb went off. He had switched rooms with a roommate, and bomb went off. And I was like, well, obviously you're depressed. I'm like, look what you're surrounded in right now, dude. You're 22 years old. You know better. So I did not send him enough snap corrections when he was younger, I think. And so he still struggles. So I was like, so I'm just going to hang out here on the, and I'm going to write, I was working on the book. And so we just sat there on FaceTime, like not looking at each other. Like I set my phone down. He set his phone down for 2.5 hours while he just cleaned.
And he cleaned.
And he just did it. Yeah. And he'd
you
be
were like working on the book?
I was working on the book, but it was just, he just needed that like moral support, even as a grown adult, to be like the accountability. Or I don't know exactly what it was, but it was just like, yeah. And then by the end, he's like, I was like, how's it working?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yes. He's like, all right, I've got this picture. Like, which wall should I hang it on? But by the end, it was all picked up, laundry sorted, stuff on the walls. And he's like, I feel so much better. And I was like, cool.
Oh, good mom.
That was
awesome.
good stuff.
Good mom award. Good job.
Yeah. I don't know.
Good
I
job.
love that.
Smiles.
Connection.
Yay.
All right, Jody, thank you so much. Thank you for being such a dear friend, such a supporter, and for supporting all of the people. You all who work with and report to Jody Donovan are some of the luckiest people on the planet. I hope you know it.
Amen.
Oh, and shout out to Piper.
Thank you.
Piper Jane, the boxer in the
Oh,
house.
yeah.
Yeah.
Piper.
Hey, girly.
Yep,
Hey,
the
baby
Velcro
girl.
dog.
Oh, remember when we picked her up in the parking lot? That was so shady. Well, that's a whole nother story. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
What? You can't drop
Jody part 2.
All right.
You can't drop that at the end.
Intrigued.
Remember when we picked her up in the parking lot?
cliffhanger.
What are you talking about?
We met a guy in a parking lot, and he
we
gave us
paid.
the dog.
I paid for her. We did not
Yeah.
just.
But like with like cash in a paper bag kind of.
It was an exchange.
No, it was legit.
Okay, so Heather and Kate drove me, and we picked up Piper as a 8-week-old puppy.
Wow.
Yeah, we did.
It was a friend bonding experience.
Oh, that's
It
cool.
was a special day.
Well, thank you for letting me play with you all. This has been a highlight. This was really
fun.
Thanks for the therapy today. I know, and shining a light. It was awesome.
That's what she does.